Hi, everybody. My name is Valerie, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about education reform. And this idea has kind of been in the news lately, but I want to talk specifically about the ways that we as educators can support our LGBTQ students and 5 ways that we can combat discrimination, promote inclusivity, and prevent suicide. And the reason that this topic has been on my mind is because a couple weeks ago, my classroom was vandalized. I had a student give me pride flags last year, and as a show of support, I put the pride flags up around my classroom. Well, somebody decided to take a bottle and throw the bottle at my classroom, break windows, and then etch homophobic slurs into my window. And as someone who doesn't take kindly to those sorts of threats, I decided to turn my classroom into a big rainbow because I was really upset. And, my students saw it. Specifically, some of my LGBTQ students saw it. And how I react is actually going to impact the way that they feel, right? How I either show support or bow down to it and take those flags down could actually impact their feelings of safety in my classroom. This is my dog, Kamja. He doesn't like to be in the videos except to show you his ear once in a while. I've tried. He doesn't like it. He just wants to be in for half a second, yawn, be distracting, and then leave. So anyway, where was I? Yeah, it's really important for us as adults, right, to allow kids to see us respond to things, right, even if they're difficult things. And for my students who identify as LGBTQ, I didn't want them to feel that because my classroom was vandalized, that suddenly I was going to take down all the flags and try to hide that I support them, because I don't. And it is my job as a teacher to make sure that everyone feels included and welcomed, and I won't let a couple of people take that away from me or from them. So again, 5 ways, right? That brings me to number 1. I want to create a safe and welcoming environment. I want to make sure that my students know, and that everybody that I know really, that they know I am completely at ease with whoever they are. And it shouldn't matter that I'm at ease, but I know that I could make my personal feelings impact other people. I don't have those feelings, but I know people do, and I know that they do, but I don't. And I don't think that it's my job as a teacher to even be in that territory. Everybody should be safe. Everybody should be welcome. Everybody should have an equitable education, right? That's really important. 2, everybody should have access to resources and support. And I've talked about this many, many, many times. But when you are in a marginalized community, you are at risk. You're at risk for being bullied. You're at risk for not receiving the same education, the same quality, the same access to resources. And all of those things are important. When you know that students in the LGBTQ community are at higher risk of suicide, then that means suicide prevention should be at the forefront of our training, right? We should be making sure that our students have a safe community, that they have groups, that they have adults to talk to. And all of those resources and support are vital to kids who are developing and growing into who they want to be as adults. That brings me to number 3. When we talk about, for example, students using the R word, or students using slurs, homophobic slurs, or any sort of slurs, right? We need to, as adults, educate our children that certain things are not acceptable, and that even if they were acceptable in a different time or with different people, it's not now. It's not anymore. And we should be sorry that it was, right? We should make sure that our students know that maybe we made mistakes when we were younger. Maybe we said things that we shouldn't have said, but we know and we've corrected that, and we're not going to let it happen going forward. We owe that as a society, and we owe that as educators of students. We don't want to promote negative self-talk, right? We just don't want students to end up with that negative self-talk in their head, especially in communities where kids have trauma, right? Like, I work in a community where kids have trauma, and every time you add a notch of difficulty, their lives become more and more difficult, and it's just not fair, right? We shouldn't be making it harder. Which brings me to number 4. We need to train our staff. Like, I've been in meetings and I've just heard so many things from adults who are also teachers say things that make no sense. They make no sense, and they make those things that were said a long time ago, things that we should have put to rest, ideology that shouldn't persist, they keep it going, right? Teachers need to be trained. We are not perfect. We need to grow, and we need to make sure that we are preventing suicide, right? It's within our ability, not all the time, right? We're not 100% responsible, but we can definitely create places that people feel safe. And yeah, okay, it's become a thing where we kind of joke about safe spaces or whatever, but those are really important, right? Like, having a place where you feel comfortable and you feel safe, that's really important. And adults need training in how to do that, because we're not perfect. And although I know personally I try to stay abreast of all of these of social and cultural changes, especially with regards to my students, I'm not 100% there. And I imagine that there are a lot of us who are not. So training is really important, but also community involvement. And especially in communities of color, we don't always move with the rest of our society because we are very insular at times. And people of color often take a little bit longer to adjust to these changes. That's all right. Change takes time. Change takes a lot of effort. But when you are a teacher and when you have children and students around you who are so clearly in need of adult support, maybe they're not getting it at home, maybe they are in a position where they can't be comfortable in other places, you might be the only place where they are comfortable. And often that place is the thing that's keeping them, right? It's the thing that's keeping them going. And if you are that person to just one student, then you've done a good job. So with that in mind, I think that whoever did that to my classroom, now it's going to look like a unicorn vomited in my classroom, because obviously I am very loud and proud about my support, but it can be subtle. It doesn't have to be loud and proud, especially depending on the demographic that you work with and the location that you're in. And I know in other places and in other states, it can definitely get you in a lot of trouble, but it could be as small as having like a pin, on your computer desk, or something really small, very subtle, that not everybody will notice, but those who know will notice. Or just making sure that people know that you are a trusted adult and that you are comfortable with students coming to you to talk about things, and even if it's not like super detailed about their lives, but you are someone that they can relax around, because as kids, they don't always have people that they can relax around. And it would be so wonderful if you were that person to them. And if you are, what you're doing is important. But when we have, again, these marginalized communities who might not be getting equitable education because of biases, you are creating a space where more students are receiving an equitable education. So I just want to keep that at the forefront of our minds and of our thoughts, If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them below. But again, keep it polite because, nobody wants hate on this channel. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. And thank you again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you later.